Hi everyone, my name is C. Today I'm going to be doing a quick no spoiler review of From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So I'm going to say just like off the bat, I did not like this book, even kind of. I'll give you a quick synopsis just so you know what I'm talking about. This is not going to have spoilers in it. I'm sorry for being kind of vague. Okay, so this book follows a girl named Penelope or Poppy, and she has been chosen to be the maiden. She is a religious figure for this kingdom. She's not really allowed to socialize with anyone unless of course the plot like demands her to socialize with someone, then she's allowed to. She's not allowed to socialize with anyone. She has to remain like veiled and covered at all times. And at some point she is going to go and ensure that a bunch of people can reach ascension. What does any of that mean? Wouldn't we like to know? A lot of it is set up in this book. I know it's a series, so it might be covered more. That being said, when a book is 500 something pages, I would love to have more context of the world that we are reading. I'm getting ahead of myself though. So Poppy is this maiden. She has been for most of her life sheltered away from society. She has to be veiled at all times, and that doesn't stop her from being super rebellious. She sneaks out of the castle regularly. She goes to meet with people in places she's not supposed to be. Poppy has the strangest mix of complete rebellious energy, I don't care what happens if they catch me, and also such deep-seated fear of punishment. It is so contradictory in the book that it doesn't make sense as to why she's doing the things that she's doing. Why does she just go out all the time? I don't know. So Poppy ends up getting a new personal guard named Hawk. He transferred from a like different kingdom to be her personal guard. He is chosen and they have a relationship. Okay. The biggest pet peeve that I had with this book was the relationship. It was one of the most unhealthy relationships in a book that I have ever read. Let me rephrase that. It was one of the most unhealthy relationships in a book that was supposed to be portrayed as healthy that I've ever read. Poppy is constantly manipulated by her innocence by Hawk. She is constantly being coerced into situations where she's like, yeah, I guess I want this because I'm feeling rebellious, but like, she isn't the one initiating anything. She wants to, but doesn't want to, and he never stops to ask, like, is this okay? There are literally multiple times in the book where she is like getting intimate with Hawk and he's like, oh, we've got to stop because if we keep going at all, like, I'm not going to stop even if you told me no. But I don't think you would tell me no. Like, I know you wouldn't tell me no. And I'm like, why is this being portrayed as healthy? I'm sorry, I'm confused. What? The relationship is so extremely sexually aggressive. It's so uncomfortable to read. There are so many moments where things are happening where she technically never said no, but no one asked. It came out of nowhere. This person knows that she has been like manipulated her entire life and has been kept in isolation her entire life, and is still just okay with doing whatever he wants to do. I'd also like to point out, the only reason they have like any kind of chemistry is because she's like, oh, he's hot. Like, there are so few times he's not even nice to her. Like, I'd like to point out, they are not nice to each other. You see a lot of them like interacting within the castle and they are pretty mean to each other a lot of the time. It was rough. The relationship was really rough. I was going into this thinking it was gonna be like a fun, easygoing fantasy romance, a little spicy here and there. Technically it was that, I suppose, mixed in with such an unhealthy and uncomfortable relationship. Ugh, so bad. Really did not like their relationship. even kind of. I kept thinking it was gonna get better, and it didn't. I really kept reading this book. I got like 200 pages in, and I was like, I don't like this. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna keep reading it. There were a couple things about the book that I enjoyed a bit. I'm not saying that like I hated every single second of it. Most seconds of it, but not every second of it. I did like some of the side characters. The whole thing I said earlier about how Poppy isn't allowed to socialize. She is sometimes, so she has a chambermaid who is just with her like at all times, and for some reason she's allowed to socialize with her. I liked that character, but like I really liked the chambermaid character. There were a couple of side characters and little teeny tiny side plots that were briefly mentioned that I thought were interesting, but in general, yikes. Also, the whole thing with her like not being able to socialize doesn't make sense. Like, okay, so it's like she has to be veiled at all times, like no one's allowed to see her, but then like her chambermaid's allowed to see her and her personal guard is allowed to see her, and the Duke and the Duchess are allowed to see her, and some of their friends are allowed to see her, and they just like say whenever they want that like she's not allowed to be covered, and it's so strange because I'm like, why would you have that be, especially if you are implying it as a religious significance, like why would it not be at all times unless that was explained? That's my other big gripe with this story. The religion was never fully developed. The whole story centers around this community, this kingdom that is so devout to this religion, and you don't really know anything about it. They're like, there are gods that do different things, and it's like, cool, but like what? But like how does that like actually affect everyday life besides the ascension? Like what else is going on with that? And we really just don't get a lot of it. Again, I know it's a series, maybe it gets better in the other books. I'm not going to find out. I have no interest in continuing to read these. So not only was the religion never fully explained and like fully realized, but there were also tons of info dumps throughout the book, like so many info dumps, and I was like, we could have spread this through. Again, if this was a super short book, I wouldn't have had as many issues with this sort of stuff. It was a long book. It was a long book. I know on Goodreads it says it's like near 700 pages. I got my copy from the library as an ebook, and that was like 550, so I'm not sure how long it is actually supposed to be. But I do know it's long. I know it is over 400 pages. And the info dumps, for it to not be fully realized at the end. I'd also like to point out, I know the majority of people loved this book. Like, I know so many people who adore this book. I could not get past the aggression and all of the weird, like, plot things that were brought up and then dropped. They were literally characters who I thought were really interesting that were brought up that were just never brought up again. I've said it before, I'll say it again, I know it's a series, I know they could come up later. The world building in this book just didn't do it for me. I didn't think the fantasy world really did it. I actually really enjoyed the first, like, 75 to 100 pages of the book. I thought that part was really interesting, and I thought that it was going more in that direction. I just remembered something else in the book that I'm like, Poppy has this gift of, I'm gonna call it hyper empathy. That's what it's called in Parable of the Sower, which is an Octavia Butler like sci-fi book. It's very similar. It's not called hyper empathy in this, but whatever. She can like sense emotion and can like help people feel positive emotions when they're sad. That is like also not super talked about besides the fact that she can do it. It's also like some of the only magic that's really brought up in this world. We don't really know what the consequences of magic are. Yeah. Anyway, I personally would not recommend this book. If it is your thing, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments and why you loved it. Again, I think it's awesome if people do love the book. Not for me. Really not for me, I think is what this all boils down to. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give my video a like, subscribe to my channel. In the description, I have my Instagram and my Goodreads, and I also run a weekly virtual write-in called the Writer's Zoom, and that Instagram is down below as well if you want to check it out. I hope you all have a very good day and a very good week, and I will see you all soon in another video.